and the power of J Skull.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Power of J Skull. Clearly, Jason and Jason back in talking about doing another character deep dive.
Yes.
And I'm really excited about this one this week, Jason.
I am too, because this has got, I believe, one of the most underappreciated characters on the show not named Orko.
Which they deal with, I think, because obviously we're doing 2 episodes. They deal with that quite a bit, almost breaking the fourth wall to some respects.
Yes, they do.
In the second episode, we'll discuss. So today we are absolutely talking about these 2 episodes. And there we go. We have the figure. There is Mekaneck himself.
Vintage
Before we actually talk about the 2 episodes,
yeah.
He was from the first generation, I believe.
He was.
And his gimmick, because it was all about the gimmick. That toy.
Yes.
So what was his gimmick? His neck, of course, by using the twist action, which was one of the things that all characters from it had. So, yeah, absolutely. And Jason, you were saying off air that initially this character they thought would be, a breakout figure.
Yes, and as we all know, he was not. He was not, because it turns out that's not much of a power.
No. Maybe if you're needing to stir something, like a drink or a paint tin, or you could twist it open and use his head to stir.
If you're the next door neighbor of Tim Allen on TV, howdy ho, neighbor. Hey, in the Mekaneck, what you doing over there, Tim? I don't know. Maybe that would have worked.
Maybe.
Plus, I gotta say, does he not look like Plastic Man?
Very much. The glasses itself.
The glasses, the triangular glasses look.
Yeah,
it makes him look like
very much.
Yeah. And I think in the cartoon, it's even more apparent that he looks way like Plastic Man. He stretches like Plastic Man. He's Masters of the Universe Plastic Man, only he's just got the neck.
Yeah, well, Filmation especially, the Filmation one, they really lent on that look, I thought.
Yes.
And he does things against physics with his neck.
Yeah, very much so.
But those 2 episodes we are talking about tonight, guys, is The Search for a Son from the Filmation series and from the 2002 series Mekaneck's Lament.
And you can't spell Mekaneck's Lament without Mekaneck's lame.
So true.
But we're here to give the boy some respect, so we're going to give the boy some respect today.
And that's why I thought it was a very interesting choice, Jason, that you decided to go. I would never have picked Mekaneck to be someone that we're doing our second deep character dive, that he would be up there. But I think you've kind of let the cat out of the bag. He's been much maligned.
Yeah, like I said, Tila was mean to him in the Tila episode, in the 2002 Tila episode, and I felt bad for him because he does have a weird dumb power, and I think that people like this deserve a closer look to see where they come from. And Mekaneck comes from a very dark, sad place in the Filmation series, and in the new series, he's just kind of a whiner.
Yes. Well, let's get into that, and let's start it off with Search for a Son. All right, written by Drew Lawrence. I'm not aware of that writer. It just happened to be on the same screen.
I don't know who that is either. I think he was sacking my groceries in Walmart today.
So the concept for this episode, without giving a synopsis, is basically Mekaneck's kid gets kidnapped.
Yes.
Right? And he needs to recover his kid. Along there, he becomes caught in a conspiracy to capture the king and queen. I think that's pretty well summing it up, I'd say.
And some of the strangest, most out of left hand exposition I've ever heard in my life. Yeah. In case you have not seen the episode, it starts out with Mekaneck playing catch with some kid. And I think Mekaneck is still there when this happens. He walked off, but he's still there. And Man-at-Arms walks up and he goes, "Wow, Mekaneck sure does like playing with kids." Well, that's because Mekaneck's son went missing many years ago. Let me tell you all about how Mekaneck lost his son and his neck at the same time. And Mekaneck's over there, "Dude, I'm right here."
Yeah,
this is my private business. He's still talking.
He's still talking. Well, I have a few things to say.
Let's talk about how Man-at-Arms, wife left him. How about that?
Well, you know what? Okay, so we get straight to that. If we can get straight to that scene where, him and his kid are sitting under a tree, Mekaneck and his kid, and then all of a sudden, a wind comes out of nowhere, and it was some of the funniest animation I've seen. I wish I
Who
had the
has
clip
not been
where
setting with their
he's
dad and a wind comes out of nowhere?
and just seeing this animation of this kid just tumbling through the air like a tumbleweed. I'm like, oh, you
Put
made
the
that
film cell
choice.
on a lazy Susan and just spin it. It's Filmation. We have like $3 left for this episode, and we're only 2 minutes in.
Yeah. But the big thing about this episode early on, I've like figured, and I thought it was the first time we saw them, was the villain of the piece. But
It's
I am
not
mistaken.
Skeletor. It's
Yeah,
not
no Skeletor
at
again.
all.
We have
Yeah.
Count Marzo, and I thought that was the first time we'd seen Count Marzo, but apparently not.
No,
He previously appeared in Once and the Future Duke, and in Turner Flower.
Yeah, Marzo was a semi-recurring villain. He was actually like, I guess, the number 2 baddie on Eternia after Skeletor.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of secondary villains on the show, and we're going to meet another one next week. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Beautiful. Well, like I said, for some reason I'm watching it going, oh, okay, this is the introduction of Count Marzo, but definitely not. Definitely not. And even in this, talking about that character, how do you feel the Filmation version of him? Especially him in this episode. He comes off like a real low rent villain to me.
Yeah, he's very unremarkable is the word I would use. Alan Oppenheimer gave Skeletor such a personality, and just Skeletor's design by itself is just iconic. And then you have Marzo, a dude with a goatee, and he just wants to sit on the throne.
Hands on his hips.
Yep. Yeah. I want to sit on the throne, and then set more, and then rule Eternia, and rule it some more. He really had no plan.
No. Can we talk about his child abuse, like the child abuse he was? Not in that kind of way, but dragging a kid by its collar.
That we know of.
But dragging a kid by its collar and just being, rather Charles Dickens like.
Yes, I did notice there was a little bit of great expectations going on.
Yes.
In this episode, which I'm all for basing kids' cartoons on great works of literature. It happens all the time.
Yeah, well, I think that's actually extremely smart because it's
no copyright. What's
copyright.
Dickens gonna do? Sue us? He's dead.
And if you're gonna, what is it? Picasso once said, "Good artists borrow, great artists steal."
Yes,
and and that is true.
It is most definitely true. We would not have He-Man without stealing, because he started out as Conan the Barbarian.
Exactly right. Did you ever hear, on a side note, that story where they were at like the first release of the Marvel, of Mattel releasing Masters of the Universe? Apparently Schwarzenegger was there, and one of the designers saw Schwarzenegger go over to the table and look at the figures. Didn't say anything, but there was an audible and then walked away. He probably thought, there goes a whole lot of money.
This is a very tiny version of me.
They have such tiny muscles.
I will break you, tiny man.
Is this the first time we get to see the Sand Scuttle?
I don't believe it is. The attack track, the one with the little floppy wheels.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't
seen that before.
First time?
I reckon we saw that in the first episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's been around. And as for the battle ram, I don't know if this was the first episode or not. I don't think it was, because they even mentioned it in the pilot episode.
Oh yeah, I brought up the wrong pick. Sorry. Yeah.
Which I liked it. I liked the attack track, because the attack track was the one vehicle, aside from maybe Battle Cat, if you can call him a vehicle, that had a personality. He was kind of like Kit. It's like, hey, Kit's popular, Knight Rider's popular. Let's give the attack track a sarcastic voice.
Yeah.
He-Man, I will take you wherever you want, but I don't like you. Beep, beep. Beep, beep.
So let's talk about this dumb plan.
Beep, beep.
Let's talk about the dumb plan is to lure the king and queen into a courtyard, right? And then to throw some rocks down and trap them inside.
Yes, and of course, Adam, the master of observation, I don't remember a castle out here or an oasis. I've never seen this before. That's weird. It's a good thing we don't live on a planet full of evil wizards.
Yeah. Is this the first time we get to see? Oh God, I'm going to get the name wrong. It was the first time we get to see these guys.
I don't know if it's the first time we get to see Buzz Off and his gangs. I cannot remember their
gang names. Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. The species,
the Aresians or something like that. I liked Buzz Off as a kid. Now I kind of look at him and I'm like, that's kind of dumb.
It is. It makes no kind of sense, but he looks cool as a figure.
But you want to know what my thinking of is why Buzz Off is a thing?
Why?
James Belushi, Bumblebee Man on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, you're kidding me. John Belushi, sorry. John Belushi.
Yeah, what did I say?
Yeah, he's a slightly less talented brother.
Oh, God, I said the brother. Sorry. Forgive me. Now, I'm thinking that the Filmation writers were fans of Saturday Night Live, saw Bumblebee Man, and was like, we can make an action figure out of that guy.
Yeah. You know what? You think from, okay, well, they've just come up, they've pulled these names out of a hat and they've made figures out of them. No, what they've done, they've come up with a simplistic concept, try to keep it simple so kids relate to it. But I reckon it would have been actually quite difficult to nail those characters down. Because at the surface, how dumb is that? Merman. But I can guarantee you there was a lot of thought put into that.
Well, it's like we have a man with a mechanical neck. What should we call him? Mekaneck?
Sounds dumb.
Perfect.
Perfect.
How about this muscle-bound hero? What should we call him? Ooh, he's a man. He-Man. Perfect. All right.
Perfect.
What about the skeleton?
It's the demographic you're aiming for.
Skeletor, yes.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have been in those marketing meetings. I just think that they would have been a hoot. Like, I think everybody in that room was probably laughing. Like, what should we call this one? Buzz Off! Oh my God, he thinks we're serious. He actually called it Buzz Off.
There were some bold moves made back then. And one of them really is going against the 3/4 inch trend.
Yes.
I don't think people realize at that time 3/4 inch was king.
Yes.
Like
that was the Star Wars figures.
G.I. Joe scaled down.
G.I. Joe, Star Wars, and then here comes, my figure can beat up your figure. Look how much bigger it is.
Yeah. We're going to make
the lamest one. He's got a baseball bat.
Yeah, he's got more articulation.
Thwonk. Yeah. These guys didn't have a whole lot of articulation, but they could.
They had more than the 5-point Star Wars ones did. That's for sure. I think.
None of my Star Wars figures survived.
No, neither did I.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Well, Jawa lasted the longest. Believe it or not, the Jawas were quite resilient in my household.
Oh, I'm sure they were. I think I had an Ewok last the longest.
Yeah,
but, his little hood was missing, and he just looked like a big teddy bear. And I think my sister co-opted him into the Care Bear bunch. So there was, I'm Grumpy Bear, I'm Shiny Bear, I'm Happy Bear.
Meanwhile, Ewoks.
It's Darkheart. What do we do? Wooka-dooka. Throws a spear and kills Darkheart.
Because we know Ewoks are flesh-eating carnivores.
They are the most vicious things. And Chewbacca partook too. So you had the Ewoks and Chewbacca all enjoying the taste of human flesh at the same time. And some rebel, I'm probably thinking Han, was handed a plate and took a bite without knowing.
Yeah.
And probably was like, definitely. That's good. What is that?
Yeah. One thing Han Solo was, and I don't know why we're talking about Han Solo on a He-Man show, not very observant sometimes.
It's our show. We can talk about whatever we want to.
We want, exactly. Let's go back to this dumb plan, though.
Okay.
Really. So he wasn't going to kill the king.
There's not like
queen,
a strong hero on this planet that can, move rocks by punching them.
Yeah, but he wasn't going to kill the king and queen, was he?
No, because you don't kill people in 1983.
No,
you just trap them in places, and apparently he's set in their throne, and that makes you the king.
Yeah,
I don't understand his plan. What was he was going to set in the throne, and Tila walks in and goes, "Who are you?" "I'm Count Marzo." "Well, you're sitting in the chair, so I guess you're the king now. What do you want, Your Majesty?"
Didn't you think his magic was predictable as well? Because I'm watching it going, I think he's pretty well 1-2-man, like 2-villain note here with his magic. Yeah. I think you could predict what he was going to do. And then he's got this dude hanging out with him. Who's that dude again?
It's the android from Star Trek. The one.
Yes, basically, right? Yeah. It's basically what from the ones from Picard on Mars.
No, the one from where Kirk was like duplicated.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah.
dude
yeah.
from the Addams Family, the guy who played Lurch, played him.
Yes,
I think his name was Ruck.
Yes, yeah. But how they save it is how this episode gets resolved is kind of hilarious too, because it's a mix between Mekaneck sticking his neck out, pardon the pun, and his kid playing a magic flute.
Yeah.
That's how this episode is resolved. Very core, at its core.
Oh. And the kid's even dressed like the Pied Piper of Hamelin. That's the part that I love the most.
Yeah,
I just expected an army of rats to appear behind him.
Yeah.
Look, Daddy, now I'm not your son anymore. I am Rat Boy.
And
But we also
get pops up, Rat Boy.
We also get Mekaneck, being able to save his son, which is a big thing. That's what it's all about. Search for a son.
And then we never heard from Mekaneck again.
Well, certainly not or his kid. We heard nada.
It went into the story file with Teal'c the Sorceress. We resolved it in 30 minutes, and now we never have to talk about it again.
He as a character is a tragic, though, character. Even in this episode, there's a lot of tragedy around him. There's darkness that clouds Mekaneck's existence.
Yes.
And it's an interesting choice. Even though Filmation were touching on it, for even them to allude to the darkness, I thought was quite surprising.
Yes, and part of me regrets that this was a 1983 episode. I kind of wish the plot of this episode and the plot of the 2002 episode that we're going to talk about here in a little bit had been flipped. Because I honestly think Filmation would have handled the 2002 episode better, and the other studio, whoever animated the 2002 He-Man, would have handled Search for a Son better.
You're right, though, because the storylines actually, if you flip them like you just said, they fit better with those animation studios, because the Filmation series is very much about learning to cope with resilience and what your morals are and your ethics are, and certainly the episode we'll get into very much is about that, very much about self-confidence.
Yes.
And you're right.
And the
we would have had a very interesting.
The 2002 episode, I think, would have shown the extent to Mekaneck's neck. It would have been a little bit more, I don't want to say graphic, but a little bit more, sure, why not, graphic with, the son and his abuse at the hands of Count Marzo. And also, I mean, come on. The 2002 episodes showed Skeletor's face melting off at one point. We would have gotten a much more mature episode if the plots had been flipped. Or if
Before we go there, though,
remade it, that would have been fine.
Before we go there, though, I've got to mention Man at Arms. And he's David Cronenberg, almost Reanimator style Man at Arms that we have here. Like, honestly, it's the most obvious thing. This guy's taken people, and he's amputating limbs and he's replacing them with machinery.
Yep.
He's clearly modifying spinal cords.
And he decapitated Mekaneck at some point.
His head was sitting in a tray at some point.
And he was probably conscious the entire time. And, Duncan sitting there working on the neck with his back to the head going, on nights I can hear the voices.
Like, there's a bit of Dharma about Man at Arms for me right now. So did find it interesting. I never thought about it as a kid. It's like, this dude is a problem. He is.
He's extremely problematic. Yeah. Could you imagine falling and twisting your wrist and they're like, I need to go to the doctor. No, the doctor's too far away. Go to Man at Arms lab. Okay, so you go to Man at Arms lab, you walk in like, hello. All of a sudden, like a needle goes in your neck. You fall unconscious. You wake up. You're like, yeah, shh. You wake up. Your hand is like got little eyes on it, and it detaches from your body and runs around going, oh my gosh, what happened to my wrist? Oh, well, you're awake, Spider Hand. My name's not Spider Hand. My name is Jay. No, it's Spider Hand now.
Well, honestly, all Man at Arms is missing is that really brim hat and the white Dr. Moreau makeup. And that's what he is. He's kind of like a technological Dr. Moreau.
He's brought in on like a bunch of like short half man, half animals. Guess what, King and Queen? I've decided to take over. And then he does that laugh. I love the laugh sequence on the Filmation series. That
they always.
there was no little laugh
big
either.
fan
It was always the big gut busting.
Yeah, it's the head throwing back. But you know what? That was always kind of a realistic animation to me. I always loved the running scenes though.
Oh, I think they were.
They've watched videos of people.
Really good.
Really good. Really good. It almost looked like these days it would be all captured in a computer and then they just animate over the top. But there's some good animation there. That's where all the money went, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know that they reused that so many times it ended up paying
100%.
for itself, though.
Yeah, 100%. You know who wasn't in this episode a lot? Tila. She was in a little bit.
No, she was there
but
a little bit.
She does the moral of the story.
She does, yes.
So we've got that clip.
Oh.
So let's just quickly watch the moral of the story.
Is it the unrated, uncut version?
Yeah, I might have had to bleep a few things and word out a few things.
Well,
you may remember from our story how my foot slipped while I was climbing up the steep rocks. And when Philip looked over his shoulder while running from the Jolek, he fell into a pit of Lumas. So when you're climbing, walking, or running, you should always be extra careful. Look where you're going so you don't slip and hurt yourself. Remember, it's not how fast you get there, it's getting there safely that counts. See you next time.
That's what we call a don't put the mustard on a cat lesson.
Yeah. And you know what? If you are climbing rock faces, maybe wearing high heel boots isn't the smartest thing to do.
Put on some pants, Tila. We can see your crack. Just put on some pants.
It's just not practical. You would want some good hiking boots or some rock climbing boots, but don't ask man at arms because you'll cut your feet off.
Yeah, you'll end up with you'll end up with like 6 legs, and next thing you know, you're Ant Woman.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? That moral is, hey, watch what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, be a bit aware about what you're doing.
Quit running, you bunch of scallywags. Just quit running. Incidentally, that the shot of Tila talking there at the end where she's kind of got her eyebrows arched.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I find that like the funniest speaking cycle that they have because she looks angry and like she's thinking and she's happy. It's like all these different emotions.
She looks like
it depends on the context of the scene, and it's actually quite brilliant. Because she could be any one of those emotions. It just depends on the voice coming out of her. Yeah. So I don't know. It's like a blank slate face. And I love that. I think that's awesome. Filmation, I know they have a bad reputation to being a cost-cutting studio, but at the same time, some of their cost-cutting measures were actually just spectacularly genius.
Yeah, they were. And the reason why we got so many episodes in such a short amount of time, too.
Each one cost $5.72 to make.
Yeah, and that could be pumped out in a week.
Get the janitor. We need a dragon's voice in here. No habla inglés. That's okay. The dragon doesn't either. It's fine.
So with that moral of the story, it's a pretty simple one. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Jason. If Skeletor was delivering that message about watching out what you're doing, how do you think he would perhaps?
What would walk
he be saying about it?
He'd say, "Hello, kids. Do you remember when Tila almost fell to her death and when that annoying little brat almost fell down the hole? That was funny! Until next time." That would be it.
That would be it. That's pretty well on point. I 100% agree that's what's going on. And missed opportunity, and I think something we'll explore later down the track is, why don't villains give enough moral stories?
Oh, that would be amazing.
So let's move on. Let's move on to the next episode, which is, of course, once I find it here, is Mekaneck's Lament.
Yes.
Great title, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Love the title of this episode.
Mekaneck's lame.
Yeah.
You know that was a purposeful, in-joke right there. You know it.
There is some fourth wall breaking here, I feel. Like
very much so,
quite heavily.
Yes.
And we start the episode, and look, the episode's basically that they start off with a battle. Mekaneck gets basically his ass handed to him. Yes. He falls into a spiral of depression.
Yes, he does.
He doesn't feel worthy anymore. And so this episode's really about him finding his worth. And that is really the core story of it. But what we do get is obviously the return of Count Marzo.
Yes, and I actually think that Count Marzo was handled better in this episode because to me he was a genuine
infinitely
threat.
better.
He was a huge threat.
Genuine
and he was
threat.
bouncing back from nothing, and he could beat everybody up. And I just
mate, he made Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger look lame with his comebacks.
Absolutely,
because you just couldn't get him down. He just kept coming back.
So wonderful. I liked him in this episode.
Yeah. But that battle that they started off with, I love the opening battle sequence. There's some of the things really great about the 2002 series is they get kind of straight into it. Like we find ourselves usually in the middle of another story or at the end of another story, which I'm a big fan of. Like that's a Bond conceit. You'd go see a James Bond film and you'd always be thrust into the middle of an adventure he was already on, and they would tie up that adventure, and we would get out of that movie. And I found with a few episodes of 2002, they do that quite a bit.
Yes, and it's a great storytelling device because it instantly makes you interested in what's going on.
Yeah, you're locked in. In. But yeah, he cops one in the neck.
Yes.
Like,
is it
literally.
Me or does his helmet make him look like he's got sad puppy dog ears?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
He even looks sad to be Mekaneck in this episode. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I like, and we'll see pictures of it later, his actually neck design. But the rest of his design as a character, I must admit, I'm leaning more towards the Filmation version.
Yeah, even though the Filmation version I don't think was that good either.
No, but it's stronger. I think
so impractical.
Yeah.
This thing, like what is this thing supposed to be?
I don't know. I mean, it seems like he's concerned about COVID, perhaps, or
maybe
it was a speaker. It could have been a speaker.
Could have been. He's like DJing the whole. Maybe that's it. DJ Mekaneck. Are you ready to rock? Let me hear you scream. I can't hear you. Okay, I can hear you. I'm back down here again.
The purpose of his neck and the real that the major thing he can do with the neck is shown in this episode.
Yeah.
The real strength of his neck, which isn't really that impressive, to be honest with you, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I'm surprised he survived so much as a main character on this show. I would have figured at any minute they would just stop using him, but no, he stuck around, and it's like,
maybe
okay, I guess we're doing this.
Maybe he had sales figures as a toy. Maybe he sold quite well.
Did he? Well,
I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out why they would have kept him.
I know that I had a friend who had Mekaneck. I never had a Mekaneck until I found this dude on eBay, but
Yeah.
I never had him, and just that was like his favorite figure. He took this red chest piece off, so he just had a blue shirt. But yeah, he just loved this.
Okay. Yeah, and that could be like a fidget spinner thing. If you're fidgety,
it could very well be. Plus, Mekaneck had a baseball bat for some reason,
which I never really got to see used. So,
I don't think he ever used it on the show, because they didn't want kids beating each other with baseball bats. But his figure's got one.
Yeah, that's it.
It's El Kabong!
That's the irony of the toy line versus the Filmation series. The toy line being very much about axes and things like that, violent tools.
Yeah,
but you can never use them in the cartoon show.
I don't even think they could punch each other in the old Filmation show.
No.
There's always, nope, you can throw them. It's A-team rules. You can throw them, you can't punch them.
2002, they don't care. They're into it.
Oh, no, it's like, you want to rip somebody's face off? Go for it. We don't care.
And
we're just waiting for more Powerpuff Girls to get finished so we can air that instead of this.
Yeah. So in this episode, in that battle, I like this sequence where they kind of line up, blow the bridge out, and these dudes, that's it, mate. They go plummet into water, of course. Even in the 2000s,
Skeletor
they're not dying.
He can be the dumbest evil genius sometimes.
Yeah.
I wonder why they've stopped coming at us as we walk across this rickety rope bridge.
Yeah.
It's a good thing they don't have projectile weapons or lasers. Oh, fiddlesticks, they do.
Yeah, it was a pretty dumb move, you know what I mean? Like,
but, I guess cartoon villains, they have to be kind of dumb every once in a while.
But we get the moment where the good guys get to cheer and go, "Yay for us, we're awesome."
Yes.
And then afterwards they're back at the castle, kind of living it up. We're awesome. We just kicked Skeletor's ass again, and I'm sure he will never come back and cause us problems. But poor old Mekaneck, mate, he's in the doldrums, isn't he? He's sitting on the wall going, am useless.
He's got the baseball bat. Look at that. I didn't even realize.
Oh my God, he has.
There he is, and it's the same design as the action figures.
Exactly right. I can't believe I spaced on that. You know, I'm going. We never get to see the weapon, and I literally just watched it.
Hurt the dirt. Okay, nothing wrong with us.
He's like, this is where the fourth wall breaking is happening, because he's saying what we've all thought about this character. What am I? I'm nothing. All I can do is, look up at high and things. And, Adam being Adam, class act all the way. He's going, hey, man, you saved our lives once because, you were able to see this stuff. So, and that was enough to give him a bit of a perk up. Yep. But obviously, Adam goes, dude, what's with your neck, man? Like, go see Man at Arms.
Yeah, let's stop talking about Mekaneck for just a second.
Yep.
Something that I enjoy about Adam in this show is that Adam is not a complete idiot.
No,
and I know in the Filmation series you could say, oh yeah, it was an act. He really wasn't that way, but he was kind of a doofus. The Adam in the 2002 version, he's compassionate, he's empathetic, he's bright. And, he cares about people. And, sometimes you didn't get that from Adam. He was just always aloof more than anything else. This Adam is very involved.
I'm a big fan of this version of Adam.
Yes.
I very much am. I think he holds his own as Adam as well as he holds his own as He-Man.
He does.
Really
I like that Adam and He-Man basically have the same personality, because even though the Filmation Adam and the Filmation He-Man were basically the same person with different clothes,
a bit more deeper voice,
I never really felt like they were the same person.
Yeah. No, true. Now, solid advice that Adam gives him to go see Man at Arms, the creepy body horror doctor, to get his neck fixed.
Go see the man who turned you into a freak. He'll make things better.
But we cut to him coming back and seeing Mekaneck walk out of, Man at Arms quarters, looking like he's ready to jump off that wall. Like, he's worse than he was when they sent him there. And good old Man at Arms, man, tactful all the way.
Yes.
Decides to show a guy who's clearly got trauma going on and saying, hey, I'm working on this thing that can do everything you can do, except way more and better.
And doesn't whine constantly. Mekaneck, have you ever considered a career in food service by any chance? I'm just asking for a completely unrelated reason,
That's great. And then we get the troll and the little troll. And obviously we all know what's happening here. There's no real even effort to disguise the fact of what this is setting up for.
Yeah,
I'm sure the kids probably didn't pick up on it.
The dude was evil.
Yeah. But getting to Count Marzo, what a cool character design in this.
My gosh, look at that absolute
so
unit.
Good. And like
I wish I had the body to wear things like that, because I would wear them all the time. And I put my arms up just like that. Look at my abs.
I'm a big fan of a good, cape.
Yes.
Blows in the wind.
I really wish capes would come into fashion, to be honest.
I
would
totally
never stop wearing them.
Yeah. I just want to be able to grab the thing and flip it around, in disgust when I'm walking out of a room.
My job is done. You didn't do anything.
That's it. But yeah, this sucker doesn't go down, man. I mean, we have several points in this where he looks like he's done, but he comes back. And like you said earlier, he's an absolute genuine threat throughout.
Yes. His costume kind of looks like the 90s redesign of Thor, if you look at it. Even has a little dots.
It does. It's got the circle kind of clips for the cape, and
because they actually made Thor kind of look like that in the 90s, kind of that 90s aesthetic grunge thing they had going for a while that could not get over with fast enough.
Yeah.
Impractical costumes made of metal that shows off way too much skin on both men and women, and they have the gall to call it armor. Yeah, that era,
That era, yeah, absolutely. Now, the fact there must not be any treaties in place in Eternia in regards to the use of biological weapons, because Count Marzo planning to poisoning everyone and knocking them right out. So that's a bit of an issue.
For a guy who seemed to have all the answers, he really did not consider that the guy he initially tricked had a neck that could extend high in the air.
And let's
It
get to the
never,
point of that. The
never
big
occurred to
reveal
him.
of where Mekaneck finds his self-worth is the fact that he can put his head above this
Yeah.
this gas that obviously is quite a heavy gas. That's why it's not going beyond a certain height. And he can drag, and that's it. And
That's it.
he can move his neck out and dodge some of the magic that was being thrown at him.
Well, it's
Pretty
better
lame.
than nothing, I guess. I mean, he does save
No.
the day. That'll keep his sanity going for another couple of weeks.
Well, did he really save the day, or was it Orko waking up He-Man with that bucket of water and He-Man doing the spinny, let's suckle the gas out with his sword?
Give the victory to Mekaneck, dude. Just let him have
He
it.
needs all the help he can get.
Analyze it. The dude's a mess already. Let's just let him have it.
But he's easily satisfied because, like, this is him at the end. He's happy.
Yes.
Everything is right in his universe at this point.
You know, we were talking about this earlier. It just hit me. Do you know who Mekaneck looks like?
Ooh, let's go.
Kite Man.
Holy moly.
Hell yeah. It's Kite Man. Look at
That's
that.
Kite Man.
He's even got that chin. He's got the attitude.
Yes, he's got that attitude.
I mean, come on.
By the way, we're talking about Kite Man from Harlequin. One of the most amazing, probably the best DC animated thing I've
Don't
seen.
let your kids watch it.
Do not. It is
Do not
R-rated.
let your
It's
kids watch
adult
it.
focused. But it is one of the most cleverly written shows and one of the more deeper character studies that I've seen in a long time. And done with this unbelievable, hilarious characters like Clayface and Kite Man and things like, and the relationship between her and Poison Ivy is just delicious. So.
I was just saying that
all
the
right
arc
reasons.
that the Joker goes on during these last 3 seasons it was just amazing.
Yeah.
And the fact that this show doesn't care, and God, we're off on another tangent, but I don't care. It's our show. We can talk about whatever we want. The fact that this show does not care about, who knows who Batman is, and because the Joker finds out who Batman is, and it makes him mad.
Are you kidding me? You promised me an electric car last year. Where's my car, Bruce?
Absolutely. Yeah, we never know, guys. Maybe one day we'll do a show on that because that is a brilliant show. Anyway, back to He-Man, what we're talking about. It kind of wraps itself up, but of course we do have a moral lesson at the end.
Oh, hit me with it. Let's see
let's have a look.
Everybody's special. We each have our own unique talents and abilities. So instead of wanting to be like others, try and be the best you that you can be. Until next time.
He literally bit a kite with his teeth. We were just talking about Kite Man.
My God.
And he bites his kite with his teeth.
Okay, the moral fits better with this episode, other than, it fits a lot better than the Look Where You're Going episode. But
it's all about just be happy with who you are.
Tell me you did not think that at some point, with all that going on in the background, with Mekaneck getting the kite out of the tree for Eternia and Charlie Brown, that He-Man wouldn't have turned around going, and that's all you need to know. Mekaneck, were you in the shot? Get out of the shot! You just ruined the entire take. Get out of here! Oh my gosh. We need to get this done on the next take or I'm out of here. You get Mekaneck lame over there to do the next one. That's what I thought. Roll. We'll do it live. We'll do it live.
I got that Bill O'Reilly reference. Very cool. That's hilarious. I would. Okay. But the moral, it is about self-worth, isn't it? It's about just learn to, and it is. It's a better moral lesson than watch where you're going. But yeah, I mean, we never get to see him again, do we? Do we even get to see him in background shots in this series?
Mekaneck, I think we see him a couple of times, but he never, at least in the Filmation series, he never really gets another starring role.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost like, I need to go to my home planet now. Yeah. But he is, I think these 2 episodes have indicated, though, Jason, that he is a very difficult character.
He is, and because he's his power is so specialized.
Yeah,
if I was rebooting Mekaneck, I would make him kind of like a cyborg. It wouldn't even be just his neck; it would be his arms, his legs.
100%.
Other things, I'm sure that he would have personally requested, but yeah, just kind of make him more useful, make him more of a threat.
I think you're right. If he was technologically, able to extend himself, you could have taken that concept and, he's got really good Wi-Fi signal. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, but he could communicate at long
seriously,
distance.
yeah, he could be like, we can't get a signal. I'm on it. Try it now. Yeah. Oh yes, 5 bars. Thank you, Mekaneck.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah. And how did he not get turned into a Pez dispenser at some point? How is there not a Mekaneck Pez dispenser in this planet?
That is such a good question because
it's built for it, right?
Yeah, it's like, I don't want that. I don't want that. Where's He-Man?
So we've gone from really a goofy character you delivered us last week to watch a couple episodes.
Yes.
What have you got for us next week, Jason? Which character are we diving into?
I know this is going to make you happy because you've expressed a certain fondness for this character, but I figured next week we will take a closer look at Evil Lynn.
Evil Lynn.
Yes.
Oh my God. I've got a mad crush on her. I don't know what that says about me.
Every boy had a mad crush on Evil Lynn. I don't know what it is about her.
She's a dangerous girl,
Yes, bad girls. We always talk about, why do girls always like the bad guys? Well, guys like the bad girls too.
And you know how I felt about Evil Lynn, especially in that series of Revelations, was just like amazing. Like Lena Headey just was incredible in that role.
I really hope we see her again in Revolutions. But the 2 episodes that I have lined up for us from the Filmation era is The Witch and the Warrior, which is an Evil Lynn and Teela team-up episode.
Oh, cool.
And then from the 2002 episode, talk about one that kind of opens up in the middle of the action because of the events in the previous episode. Evil Lynn is on the run from Skeletor because she's betrayed him. And Skeletor catches up with her, and we kind of see Evil Lynn's backstory and how she ended up making Skeletor the man he is.
That sounds amazing.
Dive into the world of Evil Lynn.
Yes, I can't wait for that, to be honest with you. I think that'll be, like I said, I just love the character. And I feel even in the Filmation, even though she was obviously a bit more predictable and evil and over the top, there's so much about her as a character, complexity-wise, that you can do with her. I just think, as much as we just said Mekaneck's a tough one to kind of work with as a character, I reckon as a writer, you would be gleeful to be able to write for Evil.
Oh, absolutely.
So much you can do with her.
The Witch and the Warrior is actually, because I've seen it ahead of time. It's got another secondary villain who is not Skeletor, but this one is actually pretty entertaining. And it does have some very well-written Evil Lynn scenes where you kind of get a closer look into the person she is and how, she's not completely as evil as we think she is.
And that's where you're hitting on, Jason. And that's where the newest version, iteration of her, really played on that heavily, that she is a complex woman.
Indeed.
At minimum, like she's got a lot going on. So that's what makes it fascinating, I believe. I can't wait for that. So that'll be next week. In the meantime, guys, you can catch both of us on social medias. Just Google our names. Google Jason Hatswell. Google Jason Roy Gaston. We're both on TikTok. I'm basically saying this because I am not really prepared with a graphic. In the meantime, though, guys, that has been our casual, awesome, fun show of The Power of J Skull. And we will catch you guys next week on Jason. Take it away. On which show?
On The Power of J Skull.